When Daniel was just 10 years old, a car accident changed his life forever. He had been running through the streets of his small town in the summer, laughing with friends, when the screech of tires and the crush of metal broke the sound of joy. The next thing he remembered was waking up in a hospital bed, surrounded by worried faces and machines beeping steadily. He had lost his left leg. For a child, that kind of change is more than physical. It's emotional. It's mental. It cuts deep into your sense of identity. From that moment on, Daniel started to see himself differently. He wasn't just Daniel anymore. He was the boy with one leg. Every time he passed a mirror, he didn't see his bright eyes or warm smile. He only saw what was missing. As Daniel grew older, the world didn't make it easier. Kids in school stared. Some whispered. Some avoided him altogether, not out of cruelty, but out of discomfort. And every time he noticed it, he shrank a little more into himself. By the time he turned 16, Daniel no longer believed he could be admired, let alone loved. He thought being physically different meant being less. This is a story many disabled people know all too well. The world sends messages, through media, conversations, even silence, that beauty, strength, and worth look a certain way. And when your body doesn't match that mold, it's easy to believe you don't belong, that you're not good enough, that you don't deserve love, not from others, and certainly not from yourself. But here's where Daniel's story takes a turn. One day, while scrolling through social media, Daniel came across a video. A man was speaking passionately about how our thoughts shape our lives. He said, "You don't have to believe every thought you think." It hit Daniel like a wave. That sentence lingered in his mind. Could it be true? Could it be that the painful thoughts running through his head every day weren't facts? That moment sparked something inside him, a quiet curiosity. What if the way he saw himself wasn't the only way to see? What if his story could change, not because his body changed, but because his thoughts did? This is where cognitive behavior thinking, or CBT-style thinking, becomes powerful. It's a way of understanding that our emotions don't just come out of nowhere. They come from our thoughts. If you think, "I'm not lovable because I'm disabled," you're going to feel sad, ashamed, maybe even hopeless. But if you start to challenge that thought and replace it with something more true and helpful, like, "I'm a full human being, worthy of love, just as I am," your emotions start to shift too. This kind of thinking isn't magic. It's not about pretending everything is fine. It's about being honest and intentional with your thoughts. It's about choosing to believe what helps you grow rather than what keeps you stuck. Daniel started doing something simple every morning. As he brushed his teeth, he'd look at his reflection and say out loud, "I am more than my body. I have value." At first, it felt fake. He didn't believe it, but he kept doing it, not because he was trying to lie to himself, but because he was trying to build a new habit of truth. There's real science behind this too. A study published in Behavior Research and Therapy found that people who used cognitive restructuring techniques, the process of changing harmful thoughts, showed lower levels of depression and anxiety. Another research article from the Journal of Consulting and Clinical Psychology noted that people who consistently practice identifying and challenging negative thoughts experience more self-acceptance and emotional stability over time. One day at school, something amazing happened. During art class, Daniel was working on a painting. A girl named Maya came over and said, "That's beautiful. You're really talented." Daniel felt a flicker of something he hadn't felt in years. Confidence. It was small, but it was real. He still remembered the old thought that used to come up whenever someone complimented him. "She's just being nice." But this time he caught that thought. He paused, and instead he told himself, "Maybe she sees something real in me." Cognitive behavior thinking doesn't erase the difficulties of having a disability. It doesn't change the fact that the world can be harsh and unkind, but it gives you a way to take back power. It teaches you that you're not at the mercy of every dark thought that shows up in your head. There's a quote by Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor and psychiatrist, that says, "Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom." Daniel wrote that quote on a piece of paper and taped it to his bedroom wall. Every time he felt himself slipping into old thoughts, "I'm not enough. No one will ever love me," he'd read it again. And slowly, that space between the thought and the response started to grow. He learned to pause, to breathe, to choose a new thought. Years later, Daniel stood on a stage at his university's graduation ceremony. He had just been awarded a prize for his work in inclusive design, helping make public spaces more accessible to people with disabilities. As he looked out at the crowd, he saw his parents crying, his friends cheering, and Maya, now his girlfriend, smiling at him. "I used to think I'd never be loved," he said into the microphone. "But that wasn't true. It was just a thought, and I've learned that thoughts can change." His voice cracked a little, but he kept going. If you're out there and you've ever felt like your disability makes you less, please hear me. You are not less. You are not broken. You are not invisible. You are enough. Right now, just as you are. This is what motivation for a disabled person looks like. It's not always big or loud. Sometimes it's just the quiet decision to think one better thought, and then another, and another, until those thoughts form a new belief, a new identity, a new life. Because loving yourself as a disabled person doesn't mean ignoring your pain. It means looking at yourself honestly and still choosing kindness. It means letting go of the idea that your worth is tied to physical perfection. It means realizing that your scars, your challenges, your uniqueness, they all make you human. And being human is always enough. Today, Daniel still has his moments of doubt that never fully disappears, but he has tools now. He knows how to respond. He knows how to take that space between thought and emotion and fill it with something healing. And you can too. If you've been battling with shame, self-doubt, or self-hate because of your disability, I want you to know this. You are not alone. Your pain is real, but so is your strength. You can change how you see yourself. You can learn to love yourself, not someday, but starting today. Start by questioning the thoughts that hurt you. Ask, is this really true? Replace it with something kinder. Speak it out loud. Write it down. Say it again. Do it every day, even when you don't feel like it. Especially then. You don't need to be perfect to be worthy of love. You don't need to walk or run or move like everyone else to be powerful. Your value was never in your limbs or your muscles or your appearance. It's in your soul, in your courage, in your story. So here's my message to you. You are not your disability. You are your dreams. You are your heart. You are your fire. And the world needs what only you can give. Stand tall. Speak up. Love yourself, not in spite of your difference, but because of it. Because your difference is your strength. Your journey is your gift. And your story is just getting started. Let's go. You've got this. The world is waiting for you.